So it's great to have all of you here for our Course in Miracles study group live Zoom. Today we are on chapter 16, section 3, the reward of teaching. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I will start reading and then we can discuss. We have already learned that everyone teaches and teaches all the time. You may have taught well, and yet you may not have learned how to accept the comfort of your teaching. If you will consider what you have taught and how alien it is to what you thought you knew, you will be compelled to realize that your teacher came from beyond your thought system. Therefore, he could look upon it fairly and perceive it was untrue. He must have done so from the basis of a very different thought system, and one with nothing in common with yours. For certainly what he has taught and what you have taught through him have nothing in common with what you taught before he came. And the results have been to bring peace where there was pain, and suffering has disappeared to be replaced by joy. You may have taught freedom, but you have not learned how to be free. I said earlier, by their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves. For it is certain that you judge yourself according to your teaching. The ego's teaching produces immediate results, because its decisions are immediately accepted as your choice. And this acceptance means that you are willing to judge yourself accordingly. Cause and effect are very clear in the ego's thought system, because all your learning has been directed toward establishing the relationship between them. And would you not have faith in what you have so diligently taught yourself to believe? Yet remember how much care you have exerted in choosing its witnesses and in avoiding those which spoke for the cause of truth and its effects. Does not the fact that you have not learned what you have taught show you that you do not perceive the sonship as one? And does it not also show you that you do not regard yourself as one? For it is impossible to teach successfully wholly without conviction, and it is equally impossible that conviction be outside of you. You could never have taught freedom unless you did believe in it, and it must be that what you taught came from yourself. Yet this self you clearly do not know, and do not recognize it even though it functions. What functions must be there? And it is only if you deny what it has done that you could possibly deny its presence. This is a course in how to know yourself. You have taught what you are, but have not let what you are teach you. You've been very careful to avoid the obvious and not to see the real cause and effect relationship that is perfectly apparent. Yet within you is everything you taught. What can it be that has not learned it? It must be this part that is really outside yourself, not by your own projection, but in truth. And it is this part that you have taken in that is not you. What you accept into your mind does not really change it. Illusions are but beliefs in what is not there. And the seeming conflict between truth and illusion can only be resolved by separating yourself from the illusion and not from truth. Your teaching has already done this, for the Holy Spirit is part of you. Created by God, he left neither God nor his creation. He is both God and you, as you are God and him together. For God's answer to the separation added more to you than you tried to take away. He protected both your creations and you together, keeping one with you what you would exclude. And they will take the place of what you took in to replace them. They are quite real, as part of the self you do not know. They communicate to you through the Holy Spirit, and their power and gratitude to you for their creation, they offer gladly to your teaching of yourself, who is their home. You who are host to God are also host to them, for nothing real has ever left the mind of its creator, and what is not real was never there. You are not two selves in conflict. What is beyond God? If you who hold him and whom he holds are the universe, all else must be outside, where nothing is. You have taught this, and from far off in the universe, yet not beyond yourself. The witnesses to your teaching have gathered to help you learn. Their gratitude has joined with yours and God's to strengthen your faith in what you taught. For what you taught is true. Alone, you stand outside your teaching and apart from it. But with them, you must learn that you but taught yourself and learned from the conviction you shared with them. This year, you will begin to learn and make learning commensurate with teaching. You have chosen this by your own willingness to teach. Though you seemed to suffer for it, the joy of teaching will yet be yours. For the joy of teaching is in the learner, who offers it to the teacher in gratitude and shares it with him. As you learn, your gratitude to yourself, who teaches you what he is, will grow and help you honor him. And you will learn his power and strength and purity and love him as his Father does. His kingdom has no limits and no end, and there is nothing in him that is not perfect and eternal. All this is you, and nothing outside of this is you. To your most holy self, all praise is due for what you are, and for what he is who created you as you are. Sooner or later, must everyone bridge the gap he imagines exists between his selves. Each one builds the bridge, which carries him across the gap, as soon as he is willing to expend some little effort on behalf of bridging it. His little efforts are powerfully supplemented by the strength of heaven and by the united will of all who make heaven what it is, being joined with it. And so the one who would cross over is literally transported there. Your bridge is builded stronger than you think, and your foot is planted firmly on it. Have no fear that the attraction of those who stand on the other side and wait for you will not draw you safely across. For you will come where you would be and where yourself awaits you. For those who just joined, we're chapter 16. We just read section 3, the reward of teaching.
Well, that was very powerful for me, having had a loss recently and hearing that reading is very beautiful. I'm sorry I'm late. I have workmen here tending to some things, so interrupted. But thank you to everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining, Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Hi.
This is Tim. I was thinking about you all week, and I don't know the circumstances, and I don't need to. I mean, I have an idea, and I just wanted you to know that I've been reaching out as best I can in spirit. I've shared, a little bit with my wife, who's also we're in a class together. So anyway, for what it's worth, it's words are words are so inadequate. So anyway, I just want you to know.
It's worth a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It comes from your heart, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking forward to the next one, The Illusion and the Reality of Love. However, one of the lines that really stuck with me was, for God's answer to the separation added more to you than you try to take away. And I feel like that makes me actually kind of emotional, because that is the truth of the truth, is that the more you give up the resistance to the physical attachments of everything that you were so fearful would make you feel empty or lacking, at least for me, I'm just more and more surprised and more grateful each day about how more fulfilled I feel with less tangible things in my life, and more studying and understanding and connecting and finding community amongst that statement, which just kind of makes me giggle, because part of my clarification is between that mind, body, soul. And until recently, I didn't really think too much about how the brain and mind were so separate, and the brain's the organ and the mind's that thing that creates. And so I always sometimes just giggle, like if I'm trying to talk to somebody and I'm like, wait a second, wait, hold on, because something's coming in, and it's like, where's it coming from? But all thoughts are that way, right? It's like, where is this coming from, right? No, collective consciousness, but when you really get down to it, it's just so silly, because it's like, where's that thought coming from? Well, I'm going to be more in control of that thought. So I still don't know where it's coming from, but at least I'm going to generate it better.
Yeah. There's a couple things that really jumped out at me about this reading. One was that we're already on the bridge, and we're just waiting to be transported over. It's just like we're like going, no. We're already there, right? We're already on the bridge. And the other thing was in paragraph 4. This is a course in how to know yourself. Love that.
You have taught what you are.
You have taught what you are, but have not let what you are teach you.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Any other comments before we get to what Rachel's excited to read? All right, let's keep going. The illusion and the reality of love. And how fitting that it's Valentine's Day today and we are reading this. Be not afraid to look upon the special hate relationship, for freedom lies in looking at it. It would be impossible not to know the meaning of love except for this. For the special love relationship, in which the meaning of love is hidden, is undertaken solely to offset the hate, but not to let it go. Your salvation will rise clearly before your open eyes as you look on this. You cannot limit hate. The special love relationship will not offset it, but will merely drive it underground and out of sight. It is essential to bring it into sight and to make no attempt to hide it. For it is the attempt to balance hate with love that makes love meaningless to you. The extent of the split that lies in this, you do not realize. And until you do, the split will remain unrecognized and therefore unhealed. The symbols of hate against the symbols of love play out a conflict that does not exist. For symbols stand for something else, and the symbol of love is without meaning if love is everything. You will go through this last undoing quite unharmed and will at last emerge as yourself. This is the last step in the readiness for God. Be not unwilling now. You are too near, and you will cross the bridge in perfect safety, translated quietly from war to peace. For the illusion of love will never satisfy, but its reality, which awaits you on the other side, will give you everything. The special love relationship is an attempt to limit the destructive effects of hate by finding a haven in the storm of guilt. It makes no attempt to rise above the storm into the sunlight. On the contrary, It emphasizes the guilt outside the haven by attempting to build barricades against it and keep within them. The special love relationship is not perceived as a value in itself, but as a place of safety from which hatred is split off and kept apart. The special love partner is acceptable only as long as he serves this purpose. Hatred can enter, and indeed is welcome in some aspects of the relationship, but is still held together by the illusion of love. If the illusion goes, the relationship is broken or becomes unsatisfying on the grounds of disillusionment. Love is not an illusion. It is a fact. Where disillusionment is possible, there was not love, but hate. For hate is an illusion, and what can change was never love. It is sure that those who select certain ones as partners in any aspect of living and use them for any purpose which they would not share with others are trying to live with guilt rather than die of it. This is the choice they see, and love to them is only an escape from death. They seek it desperately, but not in the peace in which it would gladly come quietly to them. And when they find the fear of death is still upon them, the love relationship loses the illusion that it is what it is not. When the barricade against it are broken, fear rushes in and hatred triumphs. There are no triumphs of love, only hate is at all concerned with the triumph of love. The illusion of love can triumph over the illusion of hate, but always at the price of making both illusions. As long as the illusion of hatred lasts, so long will love be an illusion to you. And then the only choice remaining possible is which illusion you prefer. There is no conflict in the choice between truth and illusion. Seen in these terms, no one would hesitate. But conflict enters the instant the choice seems to be one between illusions. But this choice does not matter. Where one choice is as dangerous as the other, the decision must be one of despair. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. It is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. Every illusion is one of fear, whatever form it takes, and the attempt to escape from one illusion into another must fail. If you seek love outside yourself, you can be certain that you perceive hatred within and are afraid of it. Yet peace will never come from the illusion of love, but only from its reality. Recognize this, for it is true, and truth must be recognized if it is to be distinguished from illusion. The special love relationship is an attempt to bring love into separation. And as such, it is nothing more than an attempt to bring love into fear and make it real in fear. In fundamental violation of love's one condition, the special love relationship would accomplish the impossible. How but in illusion could this be done? It is essential that we look very closely at exactly what it is you think you can do to solve the dilemma which seems very real to you, but which does not exist. You have come close to truth, and only this stands between you and the bridge that leads you into it. Heaven waits silently, and your creations are holding out their hands to help you cross and welcome them. For it is they you seek. You seek but for your own completion, and it is they who render you complete. The special love relationship is but a shabby substitute for what makes you whole in truth, not in illusion. Your relationship with them is without guilt, and this enables you to look on all your brothers with gratitude, because your creations were created in union with them. Acceptance of your creations is the acceptance of the oneness of creation, without which you could never be complete. No specialness can offer you what God has given and what you are joined with him in giving. Across the bridge is your completion, for you will be holy in God, willing for nothing special, but only to be holy like him, completing him by your completion. Fear not to cross to the abode of peace and perfect holiness. Only there is the completion of God and his Son established forever. Seek not for this in the bleak world of illusion, where nothing is certain and where everything fails to satisfy. In the name of God, be wholly willing to abandon all illusions. In any relationship in which you are wholly willing to accept completion, and only this, there is God completed and his Son with him. The bridge that leads to union in yourself must lead to knowledge, for it was built with God beside you and will lead you straight to him where your completion rests, wholly compatible with his. Every illusion you accept into your mind by judging it to be attainable removes your own sense of completion and thus denies the wholeness of your Father. Every fantasy, be it of love or hate, deprives you of knowledge, for fantasies are the veil behind which truth is hidden. To lift the veil that seems so dark and heavy, it is only needful to value truth beyond all fantasy and to be entirely unwilling to settle for illusion in place of truth. Would you not go through fear to love? For such the journey seems to be. Love calls, but hate would have you stay. Hear not the call of hate and see no fantasies, for your completion lies in truth and nowhere else. See in the call of hate and in every fantasy that rises to delay you, but the call for help that rises ceaselessly from you to your Creator. Would he not answer you whose completion is his? He loves you, wholly without illusion, as you must love. For love is wholly without illusion, and therefore wholly without fear. Whom God remembers must be whole, and God has never forgotten what makes him whole. In your completion lie the memory of his wholeness and his gratitude to you for his completion. In his link with you lie both his inability to forget and your ability to remember. In him are joined your willingness to love and all the love of God, who forgot you not. Your Father can no more forget the truth in you than you can fail to remember it. The Holy Spirit is the bridge to him, made from your willingness to unite with him and created by his joy and union with you. The journey that seemed endless is almost complete. For what is endless is very near. You have almost recognized it. Turn with me firmly away from all illusions now, and let nothing stand in the way of truth. We will take the last useless journey away from truth together. And then together we go straight to God, in joyous answer for his call, for his completion. If special relationships of any kind would hinder God's completion, can they have any value to you? What would interfere with God must interfere with you. Only in time does interference in God's completion seem to be possible. The bridge that he would carry you across lifts you from time into eternity. Waken from time and answer fearlessly the call of him who gave eternity to you in your creation. On this side of the bridge to timelessness, you understand nothing. But as you step lightly across it, upheld by timelessness, you are directed straight to the heart of God. At its center, and only there, you are safe forever, because you are complete forever. There is no veil. The love of God in us together cannot lift. The way to truth is open. Follow it with me.
Wow, that was quite a release. I had a big sigh there at the end. The last useless journey the Son of God needs to make. Boy, yeah, I guess if I'm not confronted with that daily, then I'm either there or I'm way far off in Never Land or whatever. So I think you all understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's interesting too, right? Because all of these special relationships we have, whether it's with our partners or our children or our friends or our pets or our parents, we have all of these special relationships. And it's just, we're afraid, right? This passage is saying we're afraid to look at the hate that's hidden in that special relationship. The hate that says, well, if you don't treat me a certain way, then I'll withdraw my love from you. But how could that be possible? Because love is unconditional, right? And it's saying that we're afraid to look at the hate there because we don't want to feel guilty. We don't want to feel guilty for harboring these feelings of conditional love, right? So how do you get past that? How do you go forward in these relationships to say, I love you unconditionally. It doesn't matter what you say or do. I love you because you are a holy son of God as I am. And then how do we not limit that special love, right? Can we love everyone unconditionally? And does that go against some of these bargains we've made with our special relationships? Well, if I love you unconditionally, how can I love you unconditionally? You love him more than you love me, or you love her more than you love me, or you're showing this person more attention than you're showing me, right? All of these hidden, hateful relationships that we've created that are keeping us safe, right? Because if I tell you I love you unconditionally, then I'll be safe, because then you'll love me back and we'll have this safe little cocoon where no one can touch us. So how do we get around that? What's that?
I just said that's really well said.
Right.
I'm glad it's being recorded.
Yes, right. So
Yeah.
how can we be in relationship but not be in special hate relationships with partners and our loved ones and our children? How can we say I love you unconditionally and forever? Because love is eternal, right? And I think
that part of this comes, at least for me, comes to really focusing on the internal love that I have for myself, because that was non-existent when I got into self-development. I didn't even know I didn't have love for myself. It was very well masqueraded, not even within the ego yet. It was false confidence, I think. So I feel much more secure when I can turn inward and go, this isn't about me, and really, really accept that. I have to spend a lot of time because I still make it about me. I can start to physically feel my body turn away from whatever it is that's making me uncomfortable. So starting to pay attention to that actual emotion first, it makes a huge difference. And then I can try to operate from a place of compassion and see, well, anger is a secondary emotion. So this definitely is not about me. They're hurting underneath for some reason.
Awesome. I love that, Rachel.
Somewhere in the text, and I thought it was gonna show up in here, and I have, you read it and then certain things stick and you never see them again, or I don't know. Maybe I'm making it up, but I thought it said, teach only love, for it is what you are.
Yes, I remember that too.
So that's what I try to work into my everyday existence, along with do no harm, all these things in my meditation, And that seems to bring me to my self-love.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, self-love is such an important component of this, because without that, we think we can find that safety and security in another. So we bargain, right? And we fall in fear with others, not in love with others. We fall in need with others, which is also fear. And that's what the Course is talking about, this hidden hatred, right? Because what is not love is fear. And that's need, hatred, jealousy, all of those things. And we create these special contracts in these special love relationships. So yes, the self-love component is huge. And until you love yourself completely, you really can't love another, because you don't have love to give. You only have need to give.
Mm.
So you're in need with others until you have love for yourself and are overflowing with that love. And then you can share that love with others. And then if the other does something that is out of alignment with what you would be okay with, then you don't have to say, well, I withdraw that love from you, because you didn't need it to begin with. You had it already inside of yourself. It didn't hurt you because you're overflowing with love. So nothing that an other could do could hurt you, other than maybe something physical, in which case, yes, of course, remove yourself physically from the situation.
Yeah.
But if you're filled with that self-love, even in those cases, it can't hurt you emotionally. It can hurt you physically, but not emotionally, because you know that you are love and you are complete, and you're not looking for that from the other. You're only looking to share that love with the other in your completion. So yeah, there's a lot of wonderful tools for cultivating self-love.
But it's all so much easier said than done, because we are human, and in these special relationships, we do expect certain things. Like we expect our children to call us on our birthday, and if they don't, then we're hurt. We still love them, but we're still hurt. And if you're in a special romantic partnership, and your romantic partner, your significant other, ignores your birthday, or does something insensitive, it's still hurtful. I understand that this is the goal, to be able to love everyone equally. And I heard it said in a workshop over the weekend that falling in love with someone is the closest that we get to experience that true unconditional love. Because when you're just falling in love with somebody, everything's perfect, and you're just filled with so much love for this person. And that's the state that we want to be in, regardless of what's going on around us. But unfortunately, most of us fall out of love. So that's the goal, but it is, it's really a work in progress.
Well, my interpretation on that is that when we're in that bliss of love, if you will, it's close to being in the mind of God, where everything is perfect just the way it is. However, if we choose to then have earthly experiences, sure, we can still be a little hurt about something. But then it's our choice. Is that going to be our focus? And and then how we act on that, is that going to bring us peace or consternation? And so we again get to look at it and say, yeah, it happened. I was butt hurt for a few minutes over that. Yeah, now I have that experience. Time to move on to the next one. And the next one may even be gratitude for, yeah, my husband forgot my birthday, but he's wonderful in so many other ways. And I'm so grateful that we're together. And, you know, we have another shot next year, or I can just explain to him how hurt I was, or whatever, however it goes, without having to make that your main focus. It's like, pay attention to the experience, because we are spirit having a human experience, but not let that be the main determiner of who you are and how you express yourself in the world. It's just an instant that happens. So you're present to the moment, and then when it's no longer your present, it can flow away.
Yeah, it's about, you know, we have this learned behavior of expectations. And so we feel betrayed when they don't occur. So is that love? You have to ask yourself, right? I mean, I would think, look, take it for somebody who is very forgetful about such things. And I have been beaten up a lot emotionally about it. Now, I don't, well, I'll give you an example. For instance, I mean, I have a significant other, and I got a card from her one time from Valentine's Day, and I had never, I forgot all about it. I didn't reciprocate, and I just had to take whatever brunt came with it. Well, this last time I had a card, and she's been going through a lot of changes. Oh, I said, I do not want a card from you. Forget it. You know, that's not what I need. This is something that just happened, that I got it without even thinking about it. Just forgive me for when I do forget it, and another one. After that, it's one of those expectation things, you know, that you can't really, I mean, it's man-made. The whole card thing is man-made. And we suffer because of things like that. This is where our expectations, this is where the whole thing kind of gets convoluted, I think. And I think we need to step and grow out of that somehow. I don't know what the answer is. I honestly don't know what the answer is. But at least discuss it with that person that might be hurt by it, or if you even think you're, I don't get hurt by that anymore. I don't expect anything from anybody, you know. My son, if he wants to, and my son is very, like, he's always sending me a card. I mean, it's wonderful, you know, but I've always told him, I said, you don't have to do any of that. Please, I know you love me and I love you, and that's all that matters. You know, call me once in a while, I appreciate it. That's it. But to have those expectations, I think, is what creates the suffering in us. That we don't need that in our lives, you know. I mean, it prevents us from really being in unconditional love, I think. When we
agreed. And as though it's like,
I agree,
when you stop enjoying the ride and stop being present because your focus is on the future, it's about the outcome. And we're taught not to, you know, the outcome is not, the experience is in the moment. The experience is enjoying the ride and letting go of the outcome, being willing to be more broad-minded than narrowly focused on an outcome gives us the opportunity to experience all kinds of things, the likes of which we couldn't even imagine in that narrow state of focus. So we open up to the possibilities and enjoy the ride.
Good point. Cynthia, I think you had something to say too.
I wanted to add something to that, is that I was always taught that there is nobody else out there. And so when we're disturbed by something, we have to look within, and we have to think and try to heal whatever it is that's bothering us, so that it doesn't show up again, that it doesn't show up with somebody else or in another situation. So if if whatever the situation is, and you have to think about, okay, well, how does that make me feel that this person did this to me? Okay, well, I feel betrayed. Well, when else have I been betrayed, or when else have I betrayed, whether somebody else or betrayed myself? You know, and I think once you heal that situation, those situations where you feel betrayed won't show up anymore. I mean, that was just an example, but So, I mean, that's just kind of where, when I think about, okay, well, somebody did something to me and it really hurt me or disturbed me. Okay, well, I have to look at that and say, well, why did this disturb me? Why did this hurt me? And where else I've felt that before.
I love that. I was actually just thinking about something similar today. I was having a conversation with my daughter, and boy, she's been one of my greatest teachers. And all of the relationships I've had and I've had a lot, have been amazing. And I have so much gratitude. Yes, there was hurt, but I have to look at, why, what is the underlying hurt, and really look at the fear, I think, which is what this chapter is saying, is don't be afraid to look at the fear and the hurt so you can learn from that, because that's all part of the illusion. And there is no one else out there. I am making all of this up with my thoughts, and I am creating all of these situations in my life with my thoughts. And as Mary said, as I allow my thoughts to grow and expand, and I allow my vibrational energy to rise, I will attract less and less of those types of interactions, or maybe I won't even notice them, because my vibrational energy will be at a place that will be so high in relationship to that love energy that I won't feel the hurts, because again, it's part of that self-love. As my self-love increases and someone says something or doesn't say something, I won't even notice it, because it won't affect me, because my love will be too great, and it just won't be it just won't be something that I'll be even focused on.
Yeah, good, very good. Yeah. Three little words that came to me, and I keep them on the dashboard of my car, is projection makes perception. And I focused on that for years. And I think it's like a key thing to this illusion that we've made. We like, Cynthia, you brought it up, that, we see this stuff outside of ourselves. So we project it out, like, oh, he did this, or he didn't do this, she did this, whatever that is. We make all those conditions, but we project it out, and that makes the perception that we measure the world from. And it's constant. It's literally constant until we come into a class like this, or we're meditating, or something, profound happens, and we just have to say, okay, I can't do this anymore. And then hopefully for a few instants, minutes, whatever, we stop the BS, we stop the believing, and then we be. So anyway.
Right. Good point, everyone. Great shares. Anybody else have anything else they want to add to this? I think this is really good discussion, especially on Valentine's Day, right? All about these special relationships in our life.
Oh.
All right, let's continue to the choice for completion. In looking at the special relationship, it is necessary first to realize that it involves a great amount of pain. Anxiety, despair, guilt, and attack all enter into it, broken into by periods in which they seem to be gone. All these must be understood for what they are. Whatever form they take, they are always an attack on the self to make the other guilty. I have spoken of this before, but there are some aspects of what is really being attempted that have not been touched upon. Very simply, the attempt to make guilty is always directed against God. For the ego would have you see him and him alone as guilty, leaving the sonship open to attack and unprotected from it. The special love relationship is the ego's chief weapon for keeping you from heaven. It does not appear to be a weapon, but if you consider how you value it and why, you will realize what it must be. The special love relationship is the ego's most boasted gift, and one which has the most appeal to those unwilling to relinquish guilt. The dynamics of the ego are clearest here, for counting on the attraction of this offering, the fantasies that center around it are often quite overt. Here they are usually judged to be acceptable and even natural. No one considers it bizarre to love and hate together. And even those who believe that hate is sin merely feel guilty, but do not correct it. This is the quote, natural, end quote, condition of the separation. And those who learn that it is not natural at all seem to be the unnatural ones. For this world is the opposite of heaven, being made to be its opposite. And everything here takes a direction exactly opposite of what is true. In heaven, where the meaning of love is known, love is the same as union. Here, where the illusion of love is accepted in love's place, love is perceived as separation and exclusion. It is in the special relationship, born of the hidden wish for special love from God, that the ego's hatred triumphs. For the special relationship is the renunciation of the love of God and the attempt to secure for the self the specialness that he denied. It is essential to the preservation of the ego that you believe this specialness is not hell, but heaven. For the ego would never have you see that separation could only be loss, being the one condition in which heaven could not be. To everyone, heaven is completion. There can be no disagreement on this, because both the ego and the Holy Spirit accept it. There are, however, incomplete disagreement on what completion is and how it is accomplished. The Holy Spirit knows that completion lies first in union and then in the extension of union. To the ego, completion lies in triumph and in the extension of the victory, even to the final triumph over God. In this, it sees the ultimate freedom of the self, for nothing would remain to interfere with the ego. This is its idea of heaven. And therefore, union, which is a condition in which the ego cannot interfere, must be hell. The special relationship is a strange and unnatural ego device for joining hell and heaven and making them indistinguishable. And the attempt to find the imagined best of both worlds has merely led to fantasies of both and to the inability to perceive either as it is. The special relationship is the triumph of this confusion. It is a kind of union from which union is excluded, and the basis for the attempt at union rests on exclusion. What better example could there be of the ego's maximum seek, but do not find? Most curious of all is the concept of the self, which the ego fosters in the special relationship. The self seeks the relationship to make itself complete. Yet when it finds the special relationship in which it thinks it can accomplish this, it gives itself away and tries to trade itself for the self of another. This is not union, for there is no increase and no extension. Each partner tries to sacrifice the self he does not want for the one he thinks he would prefer. And he feels guilty for the sin of taking and giving nothing of value in return. How much value can he place upon a self that he would give away to get a better one? The better self the ego seeks is always one that is more special. And whoever seems to possess a special self is loved for what can be taken from him. Where both partners see this special self in each other, the ego sees a union made in heaven, for neither one will recognize that he has asked for hell. And so he will not interfere with the ego's illusion of heaven, which had offered him to interfere with heaven. Yet if all illusions are of fear, and they can be of nothing else, the illusion of heaven is nothing more than an attractive form of fear in which the guilt is buried deep and rises in the form of love. The appeal of hell lies only in the terrible attraction of guilt, which the ego holds out to those who place their faith in littleness. The conviction of littleness lies in every special relationship, for only the deprived could value specialness. The demand for specialness and the perception of the giving of specialness as an act of love would make love hateful. The real purpose of the special relationship, in strict accordance with the ego's goal, is to destroy reality and substitute illusion. For the ego itself is itself an illusion, and only illusions can be the witness to its reality. If you perceive the special relationship as a triumph over God, would you want it? Let us not think of its fearful nature, nor of the guilt it must entail, nor of the sadness and the loneliness. For these are only attributes of the whole religion of separation and of the total context in which it is thought to occur. The central theme in its litany to sacrifice is that God must die so you can live. And it is this theme that is acted out in the special relationship. Through the death of yourself, you think you can attack another self and snatch it from the other to replace the self that you despise. And you despise it because you do not think it offers the specialness that you demand. And hating it, you have made it little and unworthy because you are afraid of it. How can you grant unlimited power to what you think you have attacked? So fearful has the truth become to you that unless it is weak and little and unworthy of value, you would not dare to look upon it. You think it safer to endow the little self you made with power you wrested from truth, triumphing over it and leaving it helpless. See how exactly is this ritual enacted in the special relationship. An altar is erected in between two separate people, in which each seeks to kill his self, and on the body raise another self to take its power from his death. Over and over and over, this ritual is enacted, and it is never completed, nor ever will be completed. The ritual of completion cannot complete, for life arises not from death, nor heaven from hell. Whenever any form of special relationship tempts you to seek for love in ritual, remember, love is content and not form of any kind. The special relationship is a ritual of form, aimed at raising the form to take the place of God at the expense of content. There is no meaning in the form, and there never will be. The special relationship must be recognized for what it is, a senseless ritual in which strength is extracted from the death of God and invested in his killer as the sign that form has triumphed over content and love has lost its meaning. Would you want this to be possible, even apart from its evident impossibility? If it were possible, you would have made yourself helpless. God is not angry. He merely could not let this happen. You cannot change his mind. No rituals that you have set up in which the dance of death delights, you can bring death to the eternal. Nor can your chosen substitute for the wholeness of God have any influence at all upon it. See in the special relationship nothing more than a meaningless attempt to raise other gods before him, and by worshiping them to obscure their tininess and his greatness. In the name of your completion, you do not want this, for every idol that you raise to place before him stands before you in place of what you are. Salvation lies in the simple fact that illusions are not fearful because they are not true. They but seem to be fearful to the extent to which you fail to recognize them for what they are. And you will fail to do this to the extent to which you want them to be true. And to the same extent, you are denying truth, and so are failing to make the simple choice between truth and illusion, God and fantasy. Remember this, you will have no difficulty in perceiving the decision as just what it is and nothing more. The core of separation, illusion, lies simply in the fantasy of destruction of love's meaning. And unless love's meaning is restored to you, you cannot know yourself who share its meaning. Separation is only the decision not to know yourself. This whole thought system is a carefully contrived learning experience designed to lead away from truth and into fantasy. Yet for every learning that would hurt you, God offers you correction and complete escape from all its consequences. The decision whether or not to listen to this course and follow it is but the choice between truth and illusion. For here is truth, separated from illusion and not confused with it at all. How simple does this choice become when it is perceived as only what it is? For only fantasies make confusion in choosing possible, and they are totally unreal. This year is thus the time to make the easiest decision that ever confronted you, and also the only one. You will cross the bridge into reality simply because you will recognize that God is on the other side and nothing at all is here. It is impossible not to make the natural decision as this is realized. Ooh, that was a long one. It was powerful though, right?
Yes.
Talking about beating a dead horse. Said it over and over again, right? And I love the part that talked about you and God, like God is you, right? So the choice for God is really the choice for yourself. It's the choice for your true self. And when we talk about being on the bridge that takes us to God, we're really only talking about being in that place where we are united with our true self, with the oneness of the truth of who and what we are.
Mm. Yeah.
And we seek for these special relationships, the fantasy of that special love, right? Because it feels so intoxicating. And it's really just because we seek for that special love that is our union with ourself, our true self, which is God, which is love itself. That's the intoxicating love that we're seeking in all of these special relationships that we create.
Really boggles the mind, doesn't it? It boggles my mind.
I think it boggles it only because we're so accustomed to the separation. We're so accustomed to seek for love outside of ourselves, and we're so not accustomed to just accepting that oneness that we are, to accepting that union of the one mind of God that is where all of that real intoxicating love exists. And we're so not used to going there.
Right, because that's how the whole thing that Don Miguel talks about, domestication process. I love you if you're a good boy. You behave, I love you. If you don't behave, I don't love you. So we learned that inculcation stays with us, and so we are indoctrinated to not be able to see the oneness, the completeness of it.
Right.
Our separation occurs through domestication. At least that's what the Toltecs believed. And it makes sense, but to go back to that, I guess we can spend a lifetime. I don't know. I hope not.
Well, chapter 16 says it clearly. The decision whether or not to listen to this course and follow it is but the choice between truth and illusion. And it's our It's our choice every minute, every second with our 60,000 thoughts a day.
Is that how many occur a day?
Approximately. Yeah.
That's all?
Oh, that's all. But that also means you have 60,000 opportunities to choose love
Yeah.
and begin again, right?
You
So
got it.
you could be fear, 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 and then number 60, okay, love. And then it's boom, just like that. You can let go of all of those other thoughts and just stay on that course. A course in love, right? Course in miracles. A course
Yeah,
in
once you
God.
plug in, once you plug into it, you surrender, and it, well, the ego is overwhelmed, and it's, doesn't exist anyway, but very poor substitute for what we are. So, it's, I've used this years ago. It's like this lawnmower that once it starts, I mean, it doesn't need any gas, doesn't need any oil. It just goes and goes and goes. And, that's kind of a very rough thing, but it's self-fulfilled. So that the love that we feel coming in, we know, there's no doubt about it. We know that to keep this love, it's the opposite of this world, is the way this works, but to keep it, you have to give it away constantly. You have to give it away.
Without expectation.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an expectation, you're not in it. So
Not love.
it's just really hard to talk about it. That's why Christ said, how he talked about this love that's like overflow. My cup runneth over. I mean, and it literally is that. If we look at ourselves as a cup, am I a half empty cup, or am I a half full cup? No, I'm a full cup all the time, and I'm just being funny.
Overflowing.
Yeah,
And that's what you can share, right? When you share love, it's because you are overflowing with love. And that's the only way to share love and not fear.
Yeah, and it talks about that many, many times throughout this course.
Yeah.
That whole condition, that we make it conditional. Like here, Valentine's Day. Oh, I'm thinking about all my daughters. I haven't sent them anything. I was with one daughter yesterday, and that was good. The other one's in Mexico with her husband. Can't reach her. So, I mean, send stuff out on Facebook or whatever, and it's just like, then they say, oh God, Dad's done this, now I have to reciprocate. All these conditions, just love. So simple. Anyway,
It's what we make it.
Really is.
All right, guys. Well, it's after 1:30. Does anybody have anything else they want to share before we close?
Just want to say thank you. I was on and off, and I appreciate everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Carol. Wonderful to see you. Have a great
Thank
day.
Carol.
Bye-bye.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Happy Loving Yourself
Yeah.
Day.
Yes.
Ciao, everybody.
Have
All right.
a Valentine for one.
That's right, because there is only one.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Get you one of these guys.
Oh, that's cute.
They don't eat much. They just smile. They just know.
There you go.
The little Yoda.
There you go. Little Yoda.
It's Roku.
All right,
No,
guys.
his name is not Yoda. His name is Roku. No, Roku.
Oh, Roku. Yeah.
Roku, I don't know. Whatever.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Wonderful to see you. Wonderful conversation. I
Bye.
appreciate all of you for sharing. I know it's a difficult topic sometimes, but it helps. So thank
we
you
got
all.
through it.
Have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next
Thank
week.
you. Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.